Darin Cowels is an Emmy Award-winning Associate Director of Creative Video for Texas Athletics. Now, Texas Athletics, you might say, is that the whole state? No, it's just the most important part. The University of Texas at Austin. He's got over 10 years of video experience in video production and social media strategy, because you can't do video without social media anymore. That's apparently a thing. He oversees content spanning in-venue big screens, like the biggest of big screens because it's Texas, to the smallest of smallest feeds because it's in your pocket. And he works alongside not only some of the best athletes in Texas, but also some of the biggest brands who want to be associated with those athletes. He's great at blending storytelling, videography, and editing, and he's really loves to drive brand awareness and elevate the stories of the athletes and the teams that he works with. Enough from me. Please help me to share his perspective on the intersection of creativity and competencia, or competition. Please help me welcome Darin Cowels. Sorry, hold on. Darin Cowels, yeah, there we go.
Thank you so much. Kind of where I came from. I am 34 years old. I may look older because I have the gray hair. It is because I work in college athletics and I cannot sleep. So please bear with me on that. Did my undergrad at USF. I have to mention it's not the school in Orlando. This would be the comparison of if you said that you went to the University of Texas and they say, oh, you went to that school in College Station, I would choke someone. There's another school that's called UCF. That's a whole other thing. I've been in Austin now since the fall of 2019. There's this weird time warp that we all kind of went through in 2020, and all of a sudden we landed in 2023. Started as a senior video producer, and then I've worked my way up as of most recently in February. I'm now an associate director for creative video. I help to oversee our football on the side of the athletics account, as well as I work with our swim and dive teams and our men's golf team. So I kind of have my land, air, and sea kind of covered all across the way. My main roles and responsibilities, what I like to kind of call this up as, I kind of got to parse down to almost like the 3 E's, as I kind of like to call it. I work on the elevating. It's just elevating the brand awareness, whether it is from the athlete's perspective or just working with brands that we work with. I know we just launched a new tequila sponsorship this week, but I had nothing to do with that AI video. Please, death to AI. I will say that part. I will mention that. Enhance. It is continuing to also showcase that we work with world-class athletes on a global scale. We did I want to say a feasibility study, but it was also a social media brand strategy of trying to see what are the biggest brands in terms of sports as a whole. And the top 3 brands that came up were, I want to believe it was the New York Yankees, it was the Texas Longhorns, and then the Dallas Cowboys. So our brand is right up there with anyone else. I made the joke, I had gone to Japan in 2023. I'm in the middle of a fish market in Hokkaido, and I walk and I see someone wearing a Vince Young jersey in the middle of Hokkaido, Japan, and I'm like, all right, I guess we are just worldwide at that point. And then the biggest thing is encourage. Right now, we are working with a lot of young student athletes as well as young creatives in our own field. When I first started in Texas, we had 3 interns to our name in the fall that I started. As of most recently this spring, we had over 49 interns that work within our group. Now, when I say 49, that's like, oh my God, it's a lot. But that is with a group that we have interns for video, photo, social media, and graphic design. So we kind of have a wide berth that we kind of cast the net at. Just this summer alone, I wasn't on all the interviews, but we had over 180 applicants that were trying to get an internship of about 20 spots that we are working on. So the biggest thing that we also like to tell our kids, we do pay our interns. That is always the biggest thing. I knew when I first started in this industry, I very much was not getting paid, so we wanted to make sure. Now, are we paying them a lot? Probably not, but it's enough that we can be like, hey, it's at least a little bit where you can get a lunch or dinner or whatever it might be. So that's our biggest thing, is just trying to encourage young creatives to kind of keep continuing and building on their brand that they have. The scope of my job. So it's a lot. Pretty much the biggest thing that I have going on for me right now is I do a lot of the in-venue content for, if you ever come to a football game, if you see a lot of stuff that goes on the video boards, myself and a crew, we work on all the video board content. So last year I got to help work on the kickoff video. If you've been to a Texas home football game, we had DeMarvion Overshown last year, which was a big success for us. We got very fortunate that first of all, show of hands, who has been to a Texas football game? Perfect. Can't wait to see you all here on about a month now. Please don't scare me at this point, because kickoff is right around the corner. So every year, our trend of our kickoff video is we like to get an alumni that is a featured prominent athlete that resonates with Texas fans. So last year, we knew we want to get a defensive guy, so we got DeMarvion Overshone. We were very fortunate. I say fortunate. He was coming off of an ACL injury last year. He had torn his ACL on Thanksgiving Day, so we knew trying to find the access to getting a player here was going to be hard with training camp, but we knew that he was going to be going through ACL recovery surgery. So we asked him, hey, would you be interested? He was down for it. And I was trying to put this up there, but just to kind of show what like a timeline looks like for me. I am not the prettiest of timeline makers. I feel like people on social media are like, oh my God, look at all my different sound effects. I am just very much layer, go across, please. I am the laziest editor, but it also, I feel like it puts together everything that I need to. So. But it was a cool shoot. We did it all in one day. We also already have shot the kickoff video for this year. We shot that about a month ago, but you will have to come to a football game to know who we got for this year. So I work on longer-ish content like this, but it can also be something even longer than that. This is what, it doesn't really encapsulate it so much, but this is a 32-minute timeline of a feature we did last year, which was called The Rivalry Restored. Obviously, with us moving to the Southeastern Conference, it allowed us to reignite our rivalry with Texas A&M. Unfortunately, there's always one. My sidebar, when we did get to go play them this past year, we won, obviously, thank God. We went back to our the media room, and some of our gear got stolen. So I will always say death to College Station. But this is a 32-minute timeline of a feature that myself, along with two other individuals, Nick Hetherington, who was a full-timer with us, as well as Jordan Prokel, who was an intern under me. So we all took like a segment of this feature and we all kind of spliced it together. We did this the most convoluted way. Obviously, I know there are ways in Adobe that you can do like a group project, but of course, why would we do things any bit easier? But we spliced this all together. This was a course of 20 interviews, just kind of all over the place. But luckily with it though, it came with an Emmy. But what I liked the most about this is knowing the scope of my job. What I was most excited about was not just winning the award, it was my intern that had to go actually like go up there and accept the award, and she had to do it by herself. But luckily her boyfriend was there, so it was fine. So it's like winning the award is nice, but it's also kind of one of those like, my intern that also got to be a part of the project and help put it all together, she was the one that got to go accept it. So other things that my job kind of entails is obviously a lot more short form content, whether it be capturing the moments of our teams winning a national championship, to you never know when Scotty Scheffler is just going to come back to come tee off with some donors, or you never know when an F1 world champion will come by and want to tour your facilities. So any given day, my job can just be all over the place. I want to see if this will play too. This bottom square, I should have made a bigger screen, but bottom square is just kind of like a little minute, like a opener for a video recap, just to get an idea of what I kind of do with my job.
Welcome to the 2026 NCAA Division I Swimming and Diving Championships. We're in Atlanta, Georgia at the Macaulay Aquatic Center.
We're going to see across the board whether these teams are sharp, whether they're flat, whether the athletes can rise to the occasion, win a championship.
It is indisputable that the times we have seen so far in these men's championships have been unbelievably fast.
I don't think a scriptwriter could have written it better for ultimate excitement.
This has Texas written all over it.
And I'm gonna stop it there. But that was probably the first minute of like a 5-minute video, just to give an idea. So that's all that is shot, all that is edited, all that is me scouring about 20 hours of broadcast audio to try to find things. The best thing, again, tying into Adobe, the best thing I'm trying to find is getting closed captions in, but trying to pull any times that they pull the word Texas, I'm searching for the word Texas, just seeing what the soundbite is, pulling that in, and that helps my projects out tremendously. But there's some challenges to my job. Obviously, this very weird hodgepodge of what's going on. The hardest thing that I think I run into with my current job is we work with a lot of young kids that are now, they're thinking about what their future is going to look like in this creative industry. And it's very hard to kind of get in there. So for this landscape, what it's hard for me is trying to tell our kids, hey, don't worry about just getting the same touchdown angle or the same home run swing or whatever it might be, because I'm gonna have it covered. So in this instance, this is 21 angles of, if you were here for the A&M game this past year, Ryan Wingo has this great catch in the back of the back of the end zone, but I have 21 angles, and that's between ESPN, our in-venue, other creatives. So trying to tell our other kids, like, hey, don't worry about getting the same angle that 21 others are getting. You're kind of diluting the pool for yourself to kind of make yourself better as a videographer. So the biggest thing with that, though, is we always try to tell our kids, chase the in-betweens. Because there's always you're gonna have every angle in between, whether you're a sporting event or even if you're shooting a wedding. Everyone's always gonna get that shot of the bride and the groom right at the podium. But it's getting that in between of like the grandma crying or something like that. You want to chase those in betweens because they're going to help elevate that product even more than what you have now. So it's trying to reiterate to our kids right now, like no matter what, like obviously I know for your reels, you want to have that moment that goes viral, whatever it might be. But those in betweens are going to end up carrying you a lot more, which is why I'll shout out our intern, one of our interns that just graduated this year, Marcus Darnell. He happened to be, and it's funny, this whole clip, this is his whole raw clip on this, but I could tell by hearing the audio, he's hanging out with his friends when I need him to be doing other things, which is fine. But by doing so though,
let's see what happens.
He's getting the same play of the touchdown, but from a different angle that is way more visceral. And it just turns around naturally. We got fireworks going off, but he kept the camera rolling, which is like inclination of like you get the shot, you want to stop recording, go back and look at it. And then it just keeps going on. But these are the kind of shots that you can't train someone to do. Like there's nothing in our creative handbook to tell a kid, hey, I need you to go stand by the student section and just kind of hope something happens, because in sports, everything's just kind of pure luck at that point. We're going from there. Other challenges of our jobs is we are very timely, but also not timely at the same time. So again, as you kind of saw, I work with our swim and dive teams. A perfect example is on the left, this is one of our former swimmers, Carson Foster, he was just competed at the most recent Olympics. He happened to break an American record during a swim that wasn't really registered for anything. And I think on it, I'm trying to see because it's going to be very hard to see from here, even because I'm blind. The time stamp on that is 6:07 p.m. And then the follow-up at 6:12, this is a prominent swim and dive guy that works in the media, and he gives us our flowers like, oh my God, he got this up very quick. It got up in like 5 minutes or so. But I talk about timeliness because you never know when like an American record gets broken, and then it gets broken again an hour later. So that's the harder part, is that you just don't know what's gonna happen. So again, Carson, he was just doing it as like a time trial to kind of see where he's kind of at. Again, he's in the Olympics, he's still he's staying in Austin, actively training for the next round of the Olympics. So he wanted to see how this would do. This was back in 24, I believe it says on there. And he happened to break the American record, and he broke it by like a second or so. I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. And then an actual competition for our collegiate team, this guy on the right, Rex Maurer, this was an actual competition. He broke his record that was just set that morning by 3 seconds. So if you think about doing anything at the American record or anything of like a thing, you're like, oh my God, I just edged it out. And then this guy just comes in here and just breaks it. And you're just like, okay, what do I do? But luckily Carson is a good man about it. And he says, can I have the American record for having the shortest American record? So he takes it in jest. So, but they all train here. They all take it in good jest. So that's the good thing about our job. But for some others, they probably think while I work in college athletics, they probably think like, oh, this is what you get to do, all this fun stuff, like all the championship rings I work with, or you never know when you're going to be in the bathroom filming a video with Arch Manning. Like, trying to explain that to anyone is probably a fan's like dream, and maybe most 18 to 24-year-old women that are in Austin right now. They probably think like, oh my God, this is all your job is all about, right? And it's also, that was a photo that my intern made of saying that I was goated, but I don't take that for what it is. That was me looking at my Emmy for the first time. But really my job comes down to this. is the people and the student athletes that I get to work with. It's kind of hard to see me in this photo because I'm like right here. That student athlete is Emma Sticklin. This was after she just won back-to-back national championships, covered her entire collegiate career, and then that May, she asked me like, hey, can we go grab coffee, whatever. I'm like, yeah, no problem. And then her and her fiance at the time happened to show up too. I was like, okay, is this an intervention that I'm not knowing about? And we got coffee and she said, Darin, I have a question for you. I'm like, what's up? She goes, well, you know I'm getting married in July, right? I'm like, oh no. And then she said, I would like for you to film my wedding. And I was like, well, I haven't filmed a wedding in 6, 7, 8 years. But the words that almost made me break was like, well, you covered my entire collegiate career and covered me at my most important parts of my collegiate life. I want you to cover me at my most important part of my personal life. And I had to go dunk my head in a pool. And I guess I had to do it. So you never know when you're going to have a student athlete you're going to work with that's going to create that moment with you, or you never know you're going to be in the middle of a merry-go-round in Washington, D.C. because we had a student athlete that was mic'd up, so by natural I tell him, I'm like, hey, wherever you go, I have to follow you. So like, if you want to go on this merry-go-round, I have to go on there. Again, more student athletes I get to interact with, and then also all my student interns I get to work with. This was like a crew that we had working on a football game. We have about 10 to 12 kids that work on a game day with us, so it's always very rewarding when we get to kind of put that into perspective for them. Random thoughts from Unc, as my interns keep calling me. What I try to tell all of our kids is like, hey, I'd rather y'all mess up and make mistakes because you're gonna learn. A lot of times we get a lot of student interns nowadays that they're nervous. They're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. It's like, no, that's the point of an internship. Like, you're here to mess up. Like, please do so because that's all you're gonna learn. If you go into this and you're scared and you feel like you're not warranted, you gotta just put your foot in there. Like, you're gonna make it worthwhile for you. If you don't think you're where you should be proud of the spot that you are in because someone else wants that same spot as you. A lot of kids nowadays, everyone sees sports. I know growing up, I was very much like, I was the ESPN kid. Saturday mornings, all those features that would always show up on there. Again, very much a young age, when I did watch ESPN, I very much learned I had the face for radio. So I wanted to do that, but I think I always gravitated, especially now with like ESPN, like College Game Day, I always gravitate to those longer form features and just being able to hear the student athlete's perspective because it's so much more enticing. Because like we know our lives, but the student athletes are going through so much now, more so than even the student athletes of 10, 15, 20, 50 years ago nowadays. And then don't let yourself be your worst critic. That's the hardest part as creatives. We are our own worst critics. And I think that gets in the way of every creative idea that we can come in. Even just putting something down, even without the intent of posting it. Just doing something to just keep your mind kind of moving is gonna do you wonders, just to kind of keep your brain active. That I think with a lot of our students, they're gonna start creating stuff. And even sometimes I'm picking my own students' brains because it gets to a point that even I'm like, the TikTok editors of today, I don't know how much energy drinks or Adderall or whatever it might be, I can't keep up with them. But I'm much more of a straight shooter. I'd rather have good audio, good video, good visually appeasing content. And if kids can do those crazy effects, I end up just giving that project off to them and just calling it a day there. Final thoughts. The old man in the middle is not me. It is the second man from right. That was our old swim coach, Eddie Reese. If you know anything about that, at least on the collegiate level, you probably know of like a Coach K that's won, I think, like 8 or 9, 10. He might have won a couple awards or national championships. Eddie Reese is not really readily known on a bigger scale, but at least in the swimming world he is. He's won 17 national titles as a head coach. And he's coached Olympians to all academic All-Americans to what would be doctors and all this. But the one thing that I always take away from him is one quote that I carry with me, that I always carry to everyone else that I talk to. I always tell everyone, take care of yourself, take care of each other, the rest will take care of itself. He has said that his entire time, because no matter what, because at the end of the day, we can train the next group of creatives to do what they can be, but at the end of the day, hey, take care of yourself, everything else will take care of itself, and you'll be fine. And I know times are tough between either freelance work or just trying to stay afloat on bills and increased costs of everything. I mean, it's tough, but I think just kind of getting it to carry itself, just take care of what you need to do now, and it'll make yourself even a stronger creative as you kind of keep moving forward. Thank you. And I'll put that up there. That's my contact card. If you ever want to email me, it has my Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, Behance, Gondola. It has a couple different things. There's a couple things I need to keep updating a little bit more on there, but if you ever have any questions, feel free, DM me, send me an email, totally fine. But if you send, my email on there is my work email, but if you send me an email asking for football tickets, I will block you. So just know that. Thank you all.
All right, so I have an email draft that I need to delete. Darin, thank you. We're actually going to let you ask a question or two while we're still here. Allie's got the first question, but think about your next one because she already stole the first one.
Sorry, guys.
Darin, I wanted to ask about losing. It's a natural part. What is your role and priority as a creative when it comes to capturing those moments?
That is a great question. I would say even about 4 or 5 years ago, I think it was almost like an industry norm to never really capture a loss in a weird way. But it's come around now that you kind of use it to build up to what will be like your next year of competition. So a lot of it will be, you kind of will film it and capture it. Like a great example is women's basketball that made a phenomenal run, made it to the national championship and loses to UCLA. We still go inside the locker room and get the content of coach talking to the players, because you never know when he might say something like, hey, we're gonna get him next year, don't you worry. And you can build that into summer conditioning, summer building, and just getting that. Some of it's gonna be a little bit harder. It's just gonna be, for us, it's building that relationship with those coaches, because a lot of coaches can get a little wary about whether it be a tough loss or if it's a bad practice. I know the year is escaping me, but I wanna say like 2008, there was an incident at Temple University where there was a tough practice where a coach wasn't happy, but they was caught on video throwing balls at players and just being verbally abusive. But there happened to be, it's like the cameras that are in the gym, and it's just capturing all that, and that got out to the media at that time. Obviously he got fired. Now we're in a day and age too where media is so prevalent everywhere. Capturing a loss is even harder because we have to build that trust with a coaching staff to make sure like, hey, don't worry, none of this would ever get out. But it's definitely tough. I think we've gotten better about capturing those kind of moments, because you never know, you might get a more visceral moment, or you might be able to get, I think even on our men's basketball side, when Coach Miller, they made it to the Sweet 16, and he had this very good speech at the end of the game. Being able to post that natively to the feed so the fans can be kind of like in the huddle with the team kind of helps build that connection and kind of make you feel like you're a part of that team, and then gains interest going into that next year.
Awesome. All right, Nancy. Hold on, we're gonna, yeah.
So one of the things as a videographer, building trust, and you just talked about it, right? Building trust with a client is so important. What is the number one question you ask during that discovery process to really cement that trust?
I think it really depends. It's obviously, there's not like a magical tip of the umbrella that kind of blends down. But I think the simplest question is usually like, Coach, what's your end goal? Like for them, obviously for them, it's like, oh, duh, winning a championship. Some it's like, hey, what is your, maybe usually when we go into a new year, it's kind of like, hey, Coach, what's your theme for the year? And then that kind of helps set the tone throughout the entire year. And sometimes a lot of our coaching staffs will initiate, or they'll have like what they call like their own version of like a senior council, or they're captains, so to speak. And more times than not, I'll go to the captains and I'll kind of see what they're kind of doing. But for more times than not, it's usually just kind of like, hey, coach, what's your theme for the year? What's your motto? And usually that ends up being the motif as we're kind of going along and we're kind of building it out through the year. As I work with like student athletes, more times than not, I'm kind of looking to see like, from a content perspective, I'm looking to see like what music is relevant to them, what kind of like goofy memes are they kind of liking that might be relevant for the team account, and then just trying some stuff out. What I like is that we have about 21 different sports, but no two teams are ever the same. So whenever you look, you can go look at Texas volleyball, and then go look at Texas football, and then go look at Texas women's. No two teams are ever the same, and that helps to show off those personalities of the team, and I think that kind of helps cover a wide breadth of just of various amounts of different content that allows us to be creative, but then allows our interns to be like, hey, I really like what you did for this team, but I think it's more prevalent if you try it for this team instead. And we're playing this like 4D chess that's in like Braille and then in Swahili at this, and it's just like, it's all over the place, but you're moving a bunch of pieces around to make it make sense. But it literally just kind of goes back to, hey coach, where does it kind of go? And then you find all these little like, almost like lightning bolt break off points to kind of go from there.
All right, last one, going all the way to the back.
I could probably just shout.
No, we like to use microphones.
All right, so I'm a documentary major as well, and I'm coming up against like delicately working with AI and trying to figure out how much do we put into that, how much do we twist the story, how much do we not. Like your interns and stuff have access to everything. Like how do you bridge that gap and kind of work with that?
Yeah, I would say the closest that I myself work, at least when it comes to AI currently as it stands, is at least if I focus on Premiere, the most like I'll do with AI is like the stretch music. I'll use that, or I'll use the stretch it or shrink it. Beyond that, for me, I don't really use AI a whole lot. We have realized, at least from whenever we post anything on our main account, our fans vehemently hate AI. I think when AI really first got going, I think we posted some photos of, I think we just ran a prompt for like a Star Wars Day post, and our fans dogged on us. And I mean dogged. So it's very much, we have taken a motto of just like, hey, if it's like a visually told AI, no. Now, if it's there to help enhance in some way, shape, or form, yes. Perfect example would be, we were working on a historical piece for football, and don't know why back in the day, but they would save the photos, but they would write on Sharpie on the photo what it was. So it'd be, okay, let me select that and replace to make it look like one whole photo. That is what we would use it for. But if we go in there and be like, I know now, I think Adobe, they like to show this example at some of their press conferences. They'll show like the trunk of a car, and they'll do a mask of the trunk and be like, oh, put a briefcase of diamonds in there and all this stuff. And I'm like, this doesn't help us. This doesn't help us at all. But I think there's very much still for us, it's whatever we create, there's very to no AI. Even like that little like title card sequence I had where it showed all the Longhorns, that was me trying to hold my camera up and trying to make sure I kept it all within the same frame. And then going in, putting little guide bars and making sure it all matched up. And even then, it's still not the cleanest, but the attempt was made. I'd rather have that. But yes, I think right now we're pretty much, I think the most that we've done with AI is like we'll do that, or we'll use it to storyboard some stuff, but not really go beyond that. I think we were working on a media day set just now where we started working on this room, and we did take a photo of it to be like, hey, what could we put on these walls to make it look good? And it kind of gave us a couple ideas. We're like, all right, cool. It gave us the basis, but it's not the end goal of it. So there are some good pros to it, but it's like, if it's very much front facing, we don't want to see the light of day. If it helps to enhance and kind of increase productivity and give us some ideas, use it in that way. But I still very much try to rely on the human brain, because eventually AI is just going to kind of muddle it all up at this point. I kind of call it the gloop effect. It's just everything is just this big homogeneous gloop that I'm like, I don't know if I really like it right now. But could it be in a better spot? Yes, but as of right now, we stand away from it.
So, Darin, thank you so much for sharing so much of you. Let's give it up. Could you like a hug or a high five? Hug or high five?
High five.
High five. It's a high five day. Okay.